right. Welcome to Pass the Mic for Friday, April 28th, our last episode of April 28th, 2023, episode 69. Mike Pehota here on Zoom after a long track meet at lovely Arthur's Middle School. Mr. Michael Gervasi joining me.
You know, it ain't no stopping all the dogs I'm dropping. It's Friday night, so everything is popping. I got tens to spend on the hand. So let the games begin. All right. One hint.
All right.
The movie Friday.
I know this is going to come as a shocker. I've never seen the movie.
I might have to just walk off the set now. Are you serious? You've never
I'm
seen
serious.
Friday?
I've never, but again, I'm not a big movie guy. I don't see a lot, even back in the, I'm anti-movies. I just don't, it's not like a big thing in my life as movies.
Man, you're gonna get hammered on my text.
That's fine. There a lot of movies I'm not going to say I've seen. So whether it be, it's too bad you didn't, on our way to our Downriver League Student Council meeting today, I had 90s on 9 on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of hoping that you were going to go with the song that was on the radio, Naughty by Nature, came on.
Hip Hop Hooray.
No, OPP came on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you before we get to, hold on, guess the song, and then we're going to talk about OPP.
Okay.
The
song?
The artist, I'm sorry.
The artist? This is going to be, well, Ice Cube.
It's Ice Cube.
That's only because of the movie.
Yeah, Dre had a song, a slightly more popular song from the movie, but Ice Cube was a star in the movie, and that he did this song.
Okay,
actually that song caused a rip between him and Cypress Hill.
Oh,
that lasted.
Are they okay now, or is that?
I think they made up.
Has the hatchet been buried?
There were some diss tracks between the two.
Ooh.
Ice Cube did King of the Hill. Yeah, pretty funny diss tracks too. But yeah, Cypress Hill alleges that Ice Cube stole a verse from them in that song. Throw your set in the air, basically throw the West Side in the air, and cause this big rift between the two. So
okay, well,
now,
I got in a roundabout way. I got it right.
Yeah, OPP.
Yes.
What does it stand for?
Other people's property is where we're gonna.
What if you're
We're family friendly, so okay. We're going to keep that as the answer on both ends.
I'm impressed.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, 90s on 9, I'm okay with.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what? And the song before it was Meredith Brooks.
Yeah, the B word. Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're not family friendly. We're not in the studio. I can't beat myself. That's just a female dog.
I actually heard that today at 90s on 9. I had to run home. So we were listening to 90s on 9 actually at the same time. I had to run home and grab my daughter's track shoes that she forgot.
Was this early in the morning?
Yeah,
was it your second? Yeah, you just missed Naughty by Nature was the next song. You must have just missed it. I'm telling you, that's what it. Yeah, that was definitely it. That was.
To be honest with you, though, OPP is. I like Naughty by Nature a lot. That's not a song I like by them.
Yeah, it's it is what it is. Okay, let's get off 90s on 9.
Yeah.
Let's get on to feedback. We had last week's show was a very special episode of Pass
Yeah, it was
filmed on location. Our first on location film since the last time we did it was in Europe, and the last set we did was in Barcelona. That was the last. That was the last third. And Ariana Pate was our camera girl at Woodhaven High School. She did an excellent job.
According to Max Bailey, she saved the show.
She actually appeared on camera. So the third student in history to appear on Pass the Mic, right? She did a great job. Larry Williams, we reached out to Larry on the Facebook page. Yeah. Unfortunately, he wasn't working that day, and that's why there was a lapse in security. And we're not bad-mouthing Woodhaven High School or their security in any way, because a random fan was able to storm through this field.
Kanye West style.
Imagine you're at a high school football game, and a fan just randomly, or a basketball game, and Dennis Hoppers it and starts walking out onto the court. I mean, that's basically what happened to us at this track and field meet, but I'm not accusing Mr. Pate of not being sober or intoxicated.
He was sober, right. You would think.
He was sober, yeah. But he sort of stormed off into the... He did, much like Dennis Hopper did in Hoosiers.
And I felt like Taylor Swift when Kanye West. I mean, either way.
Yeah. So but he, what did your friends think about that? I mean, what did the Taylor gang think of this?
The gang didn't say much. Antoine's the only one that he thought it was funny, even though he got called. Okay. But he thought it was funny.
And of course, Tom Pack with another great visual representation.
Man, Tom just kills it.
I mean, Rocky's done. I mean, like he better. I think he can. Maybe he can carry Dr. Rice's dissertation around the building and pass it out or something.
Man, you see, the funny thing is I'm gonna get blamed for this.
Do you have a mic for us this week?
I do, and it's sort of tangentially related to the hot mic later. So I'm going with Mike James, a member of the 2004 Detroit Pistons NBA
Oh
championship.
Lord,
Way back,
we're
way
getting
back.
deep. I got to print up some new pictures. Like we had my track star from last week. Looking back at I got to get Mikhail Gorbachev printed up, right? Like I got to get that printed up. We got to get a couple of those up and added to the studio. I hear also, speaking of the studio, our video, I had this
Oh yeah,
Ken Brillhart sent me a Facebook message. He has a young hunter who's in 10th grade, and he has a Brooklyn, his daughter, I think, is coming into Carlson. He said the highlight of freshman orientation was the pass the mic clip video that they showed to
I've
everybody.
heard several things about it. Now, Mike McBride, another Mike, but he doesn't like the show, was kind of a little bit scornful, jealous, if you
Oh,
will. He's actually joining my classroom on Zoom tomorrow, so I'm sure he's not jealous nor scornful, but he generally doesn't have positive things to say. He's kind of like Rocky in that regard and Rice. He sent me a picture.
haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. Kristen sent me a picture. I did see. I also noticed my quite the hairline in the picture they sent me in our
Well,
video. Yeah.
that's why I've been wearing the Buccos hat in most of these
But now,
episodes.
did they
Who are
win
on?
last night? I was watching the
They
highlights.
blew that game. They actually were up big on the Dodgers and blew
Dodgers,
it. They're currently up. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 26th, 9:07 Eastern Standard Time as we're recording this, and they are currently leading the Dodgers. I don't want to jinx it. I'm sure the Ren Dog will let us know. The Ren Dog's he's the one that broke the news that the Pirates actually spent some money signing their Brian Reynolds to a long-term deal. I don't know where they got this money. I must have sold a lot of Iron City Light and Permane Brothers sandwiches in there or something.
I'm so out of touch with baseball at this point. Brian Reynolds, tell me about him.
He's good. He's pretty good. He would normally would have fell in the normal Pirate rotation of plays a couple good years and then send them somewhere else for a bunch of.
So he's a Pirate already.
Yeah, he's already a Pirate.
Yeah, why would they sign?
I think, and I may be wrong. I think they got him through the San Francisco organization when they initially got rid of McCutchen. I think the Ren Dog will be our statistician on this.
I think I'm watching baseball a little bit more. I like these new rules. I think I'm watching it a little bit more now because I didn't realize McCutchen was a Pirate again.
He's back.
That's cool.
Ironically, he's back with the guy that they ended up sending him away for.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, all right. So, you want to talk any more about your mic? Is there, you want to build that into your hot mic later?
It's not. I mean, honestly, it was kind of hard coming up with mics that played for the Pistons, and it's related to the last topic in a sense. I'm talking Detroit sports after again, so it's nothing big. But Mike James, he was a pit bull.
James.
They put him and Lindsey Hunter would just
he was sort of like the lesser of the Lindsey Hunter. Like what I mean. Like I don't know. He was okay,
but he came in the Rasheed Wallace trade. He was kind of but he ended up. I mean, everybody.
No, he played some minutes.
Yeah, he did. And at that time it was a lot different than the NBA playoff games now. You gotta remember, like those games were in the 70s and 80s and sometimes 60s. And so every possession was a premium. And so for a guy to play at all in the playoffs was a big deal. The next year, he wasn't on the team the next year. And I don't want to geek out on Piston history. I'll keep this short. But they traded for a guy, Carlos Arroyo, who just couldn't. He was a good player actually in the Olympics. He killed in 04 Olympics. He hurt the U.S. I think they won. Mostly because of him, but he could not handle the moment in the 05 finals, and he didn't play. Like Mike James was that good that he was playing meaningful minutes.
Yeah, he was playing. He was getting minutes.
Right.
One thing I do want to flash back to on feedback to address a point. Max Bailey, who we get our earliest feedback usually from him. It's usually Friday morning in the 6 a.m. hour.
Yes.
Immediately, and he's like, "Why are you guys talking so fast?" And we did listening to the episode. It was rushed, and it was only like a 16-minute episode, but in reality, we were pinched for time. Your daughter was my son had already run his race, I think. We were trying to squeeze it into this window between our kids' races. And you wanted to be, as any good father, you wanted to be done with the segment before your daughter's race went off. And as
Or at
people
least
heard,
watch it while she was running, because I didn't get to see
yes,
her. She had run a race Saturday. I was there for 2.5 hours and didn't get to see her because I had to drive out to Saginaw for a soccer game. So I wanted to see her. So you were
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
You were,
So
I think my aura kind of
yeah,
rubbed
and
off
there's no
on
problem.
you.
We were
Yeah.
rushing, and that's fine. And we moved it. That's part of why we had to do it. We had to get it moving and rushed so that you didn't miss the race. Could we have gone a little slower? Probably yes. And then I ended up taking some pictures. So that is, we're not trying to make excuses. It was rushed,
Yeah.
but that's sort of the reason why. We did get some feedback too from a couple people that thought when they were just listening to it, not watching the various sounds that were. When I listened to it on my walk, and I heard the whistle and the gunshots. If you have headphones in, we want to apologize to any Pass the
Yeah.
Mic listeners that weren't watching on video, because there were some loud background noises that you may not have been ready for, including gunshots, a couple loud whistles from the starter. It was quite the
Not real
mix of,
gunshots though. They're
yes. Well, they're real gunshots, but just
well,
not
track meet, right?
blanks, starter pistols. So, all right, education this week. I thought about it as a good topic. Last week we sort of joked a couple weeks ago. We joked around about testing and the SAT and ACT, and we've talked and hinted about these things a little bit going forward. But the big talk about, and a lot of people say the purpose of education, and right historically, right, the purpose of public education was to prepare American citizens for the workforce. Right. And I'm not talking about just the subject matter, but the whole idea of public education, right? Like going through a routine, a
Mass
5-day.
production, yes.
There's a reason it's a 5-day a week routine with a lunch built.
Lunch.
It wasn't just like, hey, how do we design this? It was supposedly, hey, let's prepare a workforce.
Yeah.
Okay. Along with the information you learn, the routine and the idea of how it goes. You all go to the same place. You get there at the same time. You do all this.
I show a movie to my history class, sometimes economics, called Modern Times. It's from the 1930s, and it's a factory. It's a Charlie Chaplin movie, so it's meant to be, it's a farce. But nonetheless, they show him going to the bathroom. Even to go to the bathroom, he has to punch out. And the kids immediately pick up on that's kind of like the past that we have to do here.
Yeah.
Even that was, our school system is modeled on the industrial factory. We were sending people, getting them ready to go to the factory.
And again, the people always say, why do you have summers off? It was also based on the agricultural system,
Right.
which is even prior to that,
Yeah.
which was a method of the children being home to help during the harvest, to the busiest farm season there is.
Sure.
What I wanted to talk about today is, where do we see like this future of what is the workforce? What is it going to look like? Okay. Because we've already seen some changes recently, like COVID not only changed education, it changed the expectations of the workforce. And where do we see that going? And what does education play into that? And, there's lots of ways we can go with it. We can talk about, you can say whatever you want. I have some notes about what I want to talk about, but, do we see education changing at all because of this? Do we see, we talked in some previous episodes about how in the 90s it was the focus on college. Then, then it became the focus of, now we get this sort of focus of, college isn't as important. All those sort of things like trades and this sort of thing. I just want to know where you see the future of employment going. And if you were going to, I think the best way to answer this question is giving advice to your own kids. This is how I look at it with my own kids. Giving advice to your own kids, because you don't want them to waste time, you don't want them to waste money, and you want them to find something that is fulfilling.
Sure.
So, I guess that's the way I almost want to frame the question. Where do you see it? How do you see it working with schools, and how do you maybe see it with your own kids?
So I'm going to be okay. So I look at this a couple ways. When COVID hit, what was interesting is the quick rush to judgment about things like certain people were declared heroes, including us for a little while, and I wasn't comfortable with that at all.
No, it doesn't matter. Those days are over.
Those days are over. They're really over. We know that. But there's all these quick rash, almost collective beliefs that started to form and then changed immediately. And so one of the things I noticed was a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, teachers are I can't believe teaching is so hard. I can't believe how hard it is. And, people got to listen to it at home and saw how difficult it was, Zooming with classes and things like that. And so it was kind of neat in that regard, at least giving folks a glimpse into what we were kind of the challenges of our everyday, you know, job. And then, I was listening to a guy talk the other day, and he framed it a different way. The reason, what people got to realize is just how schools were, I don't want to say brainwashing, but brainwashing kids, and teaching kids to be woke and all this stuff, and we got to revamp the education system, and all it kind of taught me, Mike, in thinking about how
Is
much
that
they
who,
heard.
who's saying that? The recently unemployed Tucker Carlson?
No, it's not Tucker Carlson. It's actually a guy who's for life of me, I can't remember his name. Um,
I don't
uh,
mean to put you on the spot. Go ahead. I
he's
don't. It was a
Yeah,
joke.
I
It
appreciate
was
that.
more of a Tucker Carlson joke.
It was. I know it was. I wish I could tell you his name too. He's a Republican that was running for. He lost the endorsement of Trump to Oz in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and he just wrote a book about this. But the point I'm making is, I think people. I think we're in this inertia, and I don't think it's. I do believe for the people that want the change in the education that their son or daughter is going to get, there's more availability there uh, for that to happen. There's more online options. There's more options to take things. You have so many students doing independent studies and stuff like that in the library. But I think the general education, I just sort of learned this as I was watching him, is I think the inertia is so much ingrained in us. I don't think it's going to change very much, generally speaking. I think we're going to probably be on the same model for at least a little while longer.
It's funny. You think going back to when we were growing up, and your dad, right, worked in the factory, right, like a auto factory. When we were hitting that time when they were really and hitting home that these jobs aren't going to be around anymore. The factory job is being replaced by
Right.
all robots, and that hasn't happened. You still need people on the assembly
Yeah.
line.
Hmm.
No, robots can't do everything. Now, have they made it faster and more
Right.
and easier? But you still need millwrights that go and repair the stuff that's down. You still need people that actually
Sure.
are on these lines. So if you went back to the '90s, you'd figure today a car would be built by like one person and everything else would be robots, right? The
Yeah.
way they're
Right.
trying to scare us.
Right.
So that didn't happen. And also, so right now, what's the big thing right now? Oh, there's not going to be truck drivers anymore. It's going to be all these automated trucks. And I sometimes think, and I look at like 75 and 275 when I'm driving around and just like the construction zones. And I see some of these videos of like, yes, Teslas and stuff that have these and even my car has like this auto steer thing, right? Like if I let go of the wheel and if it starts going off to the side, it says
Yeah.
grab the wheel,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, do you really think okay, so that was what I was like 18 and at that point. So that's now and that's 30 years. So I'm 48 now coming up. So when I'm 78, it's still probably not going to be all now. Will there be some that are that way? Possibly. But I just think sometimes I put this fear into people about these changes that you still need human capital and
Yeah.
you still need
Right.
human labor. I mean that I'm not as worried about that. Um, I'm one of these people. I respect the trades. I think that it's a great field, but I also think sometimes people use it as, oh, don't go to college. This is the easiest way. It's not easy.
Right.
It's
Right.
not easy. It's first of all,
Right.
it's not easy to. People think that, oh, it's only this long. It's only this, go, but it's still learning. Like you have to learn this, and then it's a tough job.
Yeah.
It's a tough job physically on your body.
Right.
Okay, so maybe you are done at the age of 20 and you're trained, but all of a sudden now, okay, you're 20 years old, 30, you're 50. That's going to take a lot out of on your body compared to somebody that is not work. And again, I'm not knocking it at all. I
Of
think it's a
course.
great job. But I think a lot of times people sit there and act like these are easy or no big deal. And the people in the trades will come right out sometimes and say, hey, this isn't easy. You know
Right.
what I mean? So if this don't just because yes, you can maybe do it with a little less investment in schooling and debt, and yes, you might get some high pay to start, it's going to take a toll. And you also have to, just because it's a trade does not mean it does not involve some intelligence and
Oh, right.
it definitely involves hard work and work ethic.
Sure.
And I think sometimes we're too quick to say, oh, well, that just do a trade. It's the easy
No, it's
suggestion.
it's just the point I was making. Like these trends they come and they go, and these beliefs and these narratives, and fundamentally we end up right back in the same spot. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
as much as I think we talked about it too. We thought this is going to be the breaking point. And again, things have changed. We've, I bring people into my classes for the career unit to Zoom. Dr. Ashley Terry's coming in Friday.
Oh, nice.
When we get, yeah. But the bottom line is we're still in the same model. So
And here's another thing. I do think that I will give up. That is definitely going to change. I think our generation, us now, like what Generation X, we're going to be the last of the 30-year career people
yeah,
in a single place.
yes, I
A
agree.
majority of us being in a 30-year career in the same sort of field, in the same, maybe definitely in the same place, but definitely in the same career. I just think that society and even the education, even the college program has and part of it, unfortunately, I think too, is because of all these places that got rid of pensions, that people are going to have to work longer, not because they want to, but because they pretty much have to, because it sounds like, we're going to have a debt limit negotiation coming up. We saw what was going on in Paris with
Yeah,
retirement and raising retirement ages. Currently here, 67 is, I think, the top out age. You can start even younger, but I just think that younger generations, without a pension, they're not going to do the same thing for 30, 40 years. They,
right.
they know that they're going to do a couple careers. And I personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I look at myself, and I'm 48. I got 25 years of actual work. And at the end of this year, I'm at my 30 with my purchased years. I switched my career, what I was doing, but I'm still in education. But I don't see myself doing this until I'm like 65, working in public schools. But I also don't see myself retiring in my 50s and not doing anything.
Right,
I'm
right.
gonna do. I'm gonna try something different, and whether it be with my library degree, whether it be with my English degree, or whether it be not with those degrees.
Are we gonna open
Like
our own facility,
our own charter school.
charter school?
Charter schools are on the way down. No offense. That's another '90s fad that I think is.
Or
I
university?
think. What's that?
Are we gonna open our university? You missed one.
Possibly. I just think that had its day, and I think people have now seen through that, and some people made a lot of money,
Yeah,
not educators, and they realized
certainly
they
not them.
realized what's that?
Certainly not the educators.
Certainly not the educators. So, but that's the big difference I see when I tell my kids, and Chloe's going to college and Nate's thinking about what he wants to do. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna say, hey, first of all, you got to learn something. You have to learn something beyond a high school diploma. No offense to anyone that just has a high school diploma, but in reality, that's the truth. You have to have some sort of training, whether it be, I was talking to I'm trying to remember now who it was that I was speaking to, and they were talking about the number of state troopers that Michigan needs, and that there's the program that you can do to go through that and get in there. And you know, I, it's not a bad job, being a Michigan State trooper. It's a state employee. I think they may still even have a pension, but you have to go off for some training for some
Yeah,
time. You know what I mean? And I just want my kids to better themselves, but I also want them to feel fulfillment and enjoy what they're doing. Because we all both know if you're not enjoying what you're doing,
right.
it could be six figures, it could be $1 million a year. We've seen many of people leave many of jobs and professions because they don't enjoy it. So there has to be some personal fulfillment.
Sure, sure.
So, um, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think this is an interesting topic. Mike, this career you mentioned.
It's hard. To me, it's hard because I get angry when we say, "Oh, there's career pathways," and I don't mind like what you're doing, having people come in and talk. I think that's a great idea. But also the idea that at 15, 16, 17, a kid needs to know what they have to do.
No, you're right.
It's so hard. It's ridiculous. And like I said, we joke around. When I was 15, 16, 17, I was not sitting there saying, I can't wait to be a school librarian.
Right.
I just wasn't like and that was back when. Nowadays jobs I think are even more widespread and more out there, and it's just a hard thing to do. But the problem is at 18, if you go to university 18, 19, you're spending money and time. And yeah, we know you got to get your basic skills done, so a lot of the classes are the same, but you don't want to waste credits on things you don't need. It's a hard thing. But the fact is, just for anybody, I know many people. I know my own brother-in-law went got one degree first, like an HR degree, tried it, hated it, and then ended up going get a second degree and does what he does now with speech pathology. Like it's
Right.
you
No,
have those opportunities.
for me, if nothing else, I try to bring these people in that just this is something, I think is so obvious. Talk to people in these different fields. That might be more important than anything. I have them research the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is what the job market is going to look like in 5 years, 10 years. And that's important. But again, they're 16, 17, 15. They don't care.
Yeah.
5 years down the road could be 500 years. But I think if you talk to people who are in the fields, see what they say at this point in time in their life. These are mostly local people that they can identify with. Some of them even know the people I'm bringing to Zoom. And I think if you talk to them, you could start to realize, okay, this is, they have two kids. This is the reason, Mrs. Warren, Paula Warren was a guest today, school board member. And, she said, I got a second job because we wanted to travel in the summer. And I think the kids, they know Kelly Warren's a teacher in the building. So, okay, these are two full-time people, but they wanted to travel. Therefore, she had to get a second job. So they're kind of seeing at least that part of it that I think they understand a little bit, even if it does seem down the road. I think you could kind of project, okay, I want this kind of life for myself. I like travel. I like seeing new places. Um, so that's more than anything. And it was something that is so obvious to me. And I never thought of it when I was in high school. And if somebody told me, I'm not going to say nobody told me that, but if they did, I wasn't listening, which is sad because I think it's valuable.
That's a great story that you bring up too, because it brings the other change, not only the end of the 30-year career for one person in one place. I think the flexibility of work also for this generation, these contract gigs or temporary jobs of, oh, I need to pick up some extra money. I'm going to do these, there's things online where you can be proofreaders or editors and you just
Right,
work by the
right.
gig. You can, do you just want to do shift for a couple weeks? Do you really, like in the summer, like someone like us, like used to be
Yeah,
teachers have to go, you'd go find a physical job. Well, now, you know what, if you only want to work like the month of July, go do some, there's Amazon routes you can pick up
right.
and stuff like that. It just, the ability to pick and choose to make money, if you want to do that, you have that ability. So I think that's something that's also different that everyone has to take into account. So,
Sure.
but you still, like I said, some things don't change. Now my daughter's coming back home. She's going to be bartending again this summer in bar back. And that, it's the, that's been going around for years. And that's a gig
Yeah,
that you can make some quick cash if you're willing to put in long, hard hours. And
yeah.
it's just the way it is. So, all right. Overrated, underrated this week. We've done I believe, fall in Michigan before. It's
Mhm.
time to do spring in Michigan. And I don't want to do it just to do it, but I think we got this little tease a few weeks back, that
Yeah.
little string of like 3 days where it was 80 and sunny. I had to click the air on. I don't know if you did. I had to click the air on. And now we're back to normal Michigan spring here in April, these last couple days. So overrated, underrated, spring in Michigan, the 4 season people that love this state. This is one of your four. This is spring. What do you have as overrated spring in Michigan?
I think the notion of spring itself in Michigan is overrated. The idea that this is I envision hearing the song by the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff that summertime, because summertime is coming, and and I know that's a different season altogether, but the idea that spring is coming, and I think we realize it's not what it's cracked up to be every April. Today was miserable. Earlier in the week was even more. I was out Sunday watching my daughter's soccer game, and it was hailing before, then it was snow late. Like, it was awful, and it was in the like upper 30s. So the idea that we get more crappy spring days than really nice ones in grand total. I would like to. I'd like to do a little tally, but I think it's worse. We get more bad days than good ones in general, and to me, this weather sucks. So I'm saying it's just the notion of spring in Michigan is just. I think we should
For,
split fall and spring. You kind of said it earlier in the week.
well, for me, for overrated is the fact that it's never really warm. It's never warm in spring in Michigan. To
No.
me, I feel as if we go from winter with a smattering of like 3 or 4 days. I'm not even counting those ones back because that was like a fluke. That was just like this warm cell that popped up. So in reality, in May, we'll hit this little window of May of like where there's like 65, 65, 70, and then all of a sudden it's 80 and the air's on. It's
Yeah.
June. Like
Right.
like whereas in the fall, you get this gradual, yeah, you'll get
Yeah.
a real cold morning every once in a while, but there really is a fall. There's
Right.
a period after, mid-September where, okay, we're not having the air on anymore. It's not, I'm not sweating like crazy when I'm
Right,
outside
right.
anymore. And it's a stretch from like mid-September all the way into almost early November, like
Yeah,
a considerable amount of time. Whereas with Michigan Spring, and I can say this as a longtime track and field coach, it's the worst. It
yeah,
is the absolute worst. You get a pop-up day here or there. Again, I'll take those two couple days in April. If you look at the next 10 days here, and we're going into early May, May 1st is on Monday after this episode, it's still 50s and lows in the 30s. It's worse than fall weather.
yeah,
Like fall
absolutely.
weather, at least, and so it's like, don't even just, I'm going to say it right now. Four season. I love Michigan. It's a four-season state. It's not a four-season state. It's a three-season state. You got summer, which runs from late May all the way to mid-September. All right, let's face it. Those games at the big house are hot in mid-September.
Yeah,
Then you got fall from like mid-September through mid to late November, fall, and then you have winter from that late November through mid-May. There is no spring. There is none.
I'm with you.
Prove me wrong.
I'm,
It's a three-season state, and if you think there's a fourth season here, you're plant your flowers this weekend. Then all you spring people, plant your flowers. When are you going to supposed? When do they tell you to plant your flowers? After Memorial Day. What
yeah,
is Memorial Day? What is Memorial Day considered? The kickoff of summer, right?
kick off the summer. Yeah.
So put up or shut up, you spring people. Plant your flowers
Ooh,
right now. Plant
man.
them. If it's really spring, plant them, and don't go asking for a refund at Frank's Nursery when they die.
Ooh, you mad, bro? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what is your underrated for Michigan? Hopefully, we can find something after this
It was
bashing on
hard.
Michigan's.
It came to me today. I pulled into my house and just kind of looking
I wonder if
around.
you're going to have the same thing as me.
Everybody's lawn looks good.
All this, yeah, rain and cool. It's like,
Rain.
but you get that in September too.
You do, but the weeds haven't really hit yet. The weeds have
Okay,
usually hit, in the fall months. I mean, I just think right now because of all the rain. You're right, but the problem is in September you've had the summer where there's a lot of dead grass and stuff like that.
yeah,
I right now I think is the best looking grass you're going to see all year. So I'm going
yeah,
with grass.
that's good. Yeah, and that usually lasts what to like mid-May, mid to
Yeah,
early May, and
runs
then
away.
it starts getting warm
Right.
and water bills are. And I have a sprinkler system, but I don't live and die by that thing,
No, and
man.
that's when you have to make the decision. Are you gonna pay a lot of
It's
money to have that nice looking lawn or
not me. It's
yeah,
fine. It's totally fine. Okay, so I thought we were going to go the same route because again, I was playing. Here's the one thing that Michigan Spring has that saves us, and I'll give it some credit. It's no longer dark at 5:30. Like I
yeah,
was at this track meet that ran till like the
right,
7 o'clock hours, and we're not even into May, and the sunlight was still out.
yeah,
Michigan winters and Michigan even late fall to winter. Once you get fall back, it's miserable around here because
yeah,
it is dark at like 5 o'clock,
yeah.
and
You get to
that's the
work if
one
you
thing
coach a
that's
sport, you're getting to work when it's dark and you're leaving
yep.
work when it's dark, and that's
It's
not
the
fun.
one thing that Michigan Spring has is that even on a day like today was very cool and chilly, but that sun was out and the sun was still out even when I was driving home at 7:30
Right?
from this track meet. So thank goodness Michigan Spring. It has nothing to do with Michigan though. It just has to do with the sun. And I mean, I'm not an astronomy guy. I did take it at Eastern, but still, I had to find something underrated, and that's what I'm giving the no longer having the 5:30 or 5:15 sunsets, and that is one. I do know this. It's because of how we're on the very far end of the time zone, Eastern time zone. So summertime, Detroit area, and imagine if you lived in Grand Rapids, which is at the very, you're at the
Yeah,
far end. You get those sunsets in like 9:40,
yeah,
almost
it's
10
pretty
p.m.
cool.
Yeah, it's hard to put forks in people's yards and knock on their doors or run away when the sun's still up at 10 o'clock. You're right over there. All right.
Hot
What
Mike.
is, oh, hot mic? Yes. What is your hot mic take for the week?
I don't know how I sequester that. So last week I did. What did I do last week, Mike? Man, you really
Well, that's when you were interrupted. That was
yeah, you're right. You just
I
uh,
threw you. Do you want
I'm
me
a
to do
little
mine and you can recover? I mean, I
I'm a
can do
little,
mine. I know.
a little disheveled at the moment. So, but last week I did my worst Detroit sports moments, right?
Yes.
So this week, kind of like what we do, overrated, underrated, we leave on a good note. So I'm going to leave this one on a good note. My best Detroit sports moments. And I threw just some. Now I'm going to limit this. It has to be within my lifetime,
Okay.
of time. So I have some here. I want to. All right, let me just throw these at you. For the Pistons, 007 Vinnie Johnson. When they
Yeah, I think
versus
that was bigger to me. I mean, the first one obviously was great, but there really wasn't a moment that was like you knew it was going to happen.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And you really sort of, I guess, in the Portland series, but that shot, like I was worried they were going to lose that game against Portland,
yeah.
and that shot was pretty cool. So yes,
Um, and then in the '04 season, hence Mike James, Chauncey Billups, I mentioned this before on the show, what it was like being there. Chauncey Billups made that shot to tie the game, send it into overtime. They ended up going to triple overtime. They lost the game, but with the power of hindsight, that was a moment that really stood out. So those are my two big Detroit Pistons moments. It's hard coming up with anything for the Lions. Barry getting 2000, I think, was a great moment. But the fact that, I mean, them beating the Cowboys, but is there a moment in that game? He had a big run that game, that he broke like three tackles or something like that, and it looked like he was down and he broke it. The Tigers, I got two big home runs, Maglio Ordonez to send them to the World Series, Gibby in '84.
yeah,
In both
we were you babies for that.
we were, and in both cases, Maglio, they were up 3-0 in the series. I think the game was tied when he hit it, so it's like they would have won, but it was still a cool moment. Gibby, they were up 3-1 in the series. I think it was they were winning when he hit the home run, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I'll get corrected, but I think it was I want to say it was 5-4, and he made it 8-4. But those were still cool moments. Um, Steve Eiserman with the goal against the St. Louis Blues to send them to the conference finals in game 7 in overtime, but they lost the conference finals that year. Finally beating Colorado, the brawl in March of '97 that the goalies came out and everybody fought and Claude Lemieux and everything else, and so those are the moments. My number one, but I'm biased, is Vinnie Johnson's 007.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think for me in my lifetime, that to me is it just was because, like I said, that game was close, and it was that shot is just one of those moments. There were the other championship was there. Those other things didn't. The Wings did. Sort of like those Wings, the Stanley Cup victories they had. There really wasn't like a big moment that they won those pretty. They beat the
Easily,
Penguins in
yeah,
6. I mean, it was never like edge of your seat. So I think
right.
Vinny's, and even though that series they were up
Three
close,
to one, yeah.
if they lose that game, you never know. Um, so I think that's sort of like, and you sort of felt like that sealed it. You know,
I gotta
line.
say
I don't
too,
think.
Dumars, his dad died during the series. Would
Yes.
he have gone home? They were
Yeah.
coming home to
It's
play. Now he said his dad would have wanted him to play, so he probably. But you never know how that plays out.
no. I
Um,
mean, so I can psychologically. I mean, I
right?
think sometimes people. I think sometimes people. These stick to sports people. I think people think that's like so easy, and I mean
Yeah,
that could mess a person up for their career. Not to
sure.
mention for just what's going on in that series. So I think you covered the Detroit ones well. I know for me as a Penguin fan, it was obviously Marc-Andre Fleury's save in Game 7 at Joe Louis Arena that the puck was fluttering all around, and I mean I was in Disney World trying to watch I was updating my ESPN app just trying, and because I didn't want to wake people up in the hotel room we were in when they were playing that game. For the Steelers, they won 2 Super Bowls in my modern lifetime, not and but the one here in Ford Field, and that reverse pass play that Antoine Randall L threw to
Mhm.
Hines Ward to me just stands. It's not only was it a cool play, but it sort of sealed the
Sure.
game. And the Pirates, who are like we joked around earlier, but they had that little run earlier, and they had to play the Reds in a 1-game playoff, and the fans were all in black, and Johnny Cueto was pitching, and they're chanting his name, and he dropped the ball as he was on the mound, and the people went nuts. And then the next
Yeah.
pitch, Russell Martin hits a home run. He never really was a power guy. He's their catcher. Just, I mean, any younger Pirate fan that's not from the Willie
Sure.
Stargell era,
Yeah.
that's their moment. And like you said, sometimes it is just one game, the Dallas Lions game. That's all you have. Pirates fans, that's all we have.
Yeah. That's
That's all we
it.
have since 1980 is that wild card win over the Reds. And unfortunately, sometimes you just have to take that. So
No,
that's what it is.
everything
Good.
else is a loss. Like I could give you,
Yeah.
like you said last week, we came up
Yeah.
with losses. Now, do I
Yeah. I mean,
agree with this? I thought Michigan, as a Michigan fan, I could give, certainly, obviously, the national championship team in 1989, the football 97. There was a couple moments there certainly
Yeah,
when,
college stuff. Michigan State's basketball championship with that
yeah,
great team over
right.
Florida. I mean, there's lots there.
You
So,
were
but
you were
yeah,
at the big Michigan State football game, the Rose Bowl
the
victory.
Rose Bowl, the Rose Bowl. Yeah, that, I mean, that was great. That was very cool. I
Yeah,
mean, and that was like I said, that was a really good team. And if they didn't have one slip up earlier in the year, who knows what that team would have been playing for at
yeah,
that point. But so is college football. All right, my hot mic take, and I want to dispel any rumors. The Pass the Mic show is not breaking up. This isn't Mike and Mike
yeah,
from ESPN. But I have decided, I've mentioned before on episodes that I was a consumer of TikTok, right? And I said how I'd find myself like, and so finally, I don't know if it was boredom. I don't know if it was me being frozen or me being hungry or a combination of all three. But last Friday, the day of the premiere of our video episode, I was at New Boston, Huron, fine school district down the road, our little
was there
neighbors
as
out in the
well.
country, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Menser's children attend there. Mr. Cobflesh came from there, our athletic director. I thought I'd buy popcorn smelled delicious. So I bought a bag of their popcorn for $1, nice warm bag. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a TikTok concession stand review, which through the years we've been doing I've been doing with Max Bailey and you when we go to football games. I tweet some of these
Yeah.
sometimes, right? We go to Edsel Ford and and this is nothing new. It's just I decided to go with a new medium, I guess we'd say. And lo and behold, I did a review of their popcorn and their nachos. And then the next day, I was at lovely Woodhaven, back at Woodhaven, fourth track meet in 5 days, reviewed their popcorn and pizza, which was from Sammy's, which I highly, Max Bailey's is overrated. I think Sammy's is rated right where it belongs. I think it's very good. And these have sort of cut a little steam. I'm not leaving Past the Mic, but I am enjoying doing these productions. My goal is to do some to Friday at Carlson for the Marauder invite. The weather doesn't look so great, but I hope to do a couple there. Now, my son, who normally, as you know, batches Past the Mic,
Yeah.
my daughter bashed these TikToks a little bit. He suggested, and some other people like Drew Sikora suggest I should do these with some school lunches as well. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm a little worried. Nate, your son, also seems to be using this as a wedge issue between the two of us.
Oh,
Try to split past the mic.
I hope Rocco doesn't hear about this. This may
I
be.
hope so. Nate actually said to me, he hopes you leave the show and just go this route. So
He's
I don't know if I'm supposed to be,
trying to break up Past the Mic.
yeah, am I supposed to be jealous about this? Am I supposed to be
No,
angry?
I'm here. This is my reassuring to you and to all of our listeners that I'm not going anywhere. This is not.
You're not like
This is
Bobby
not.
Brown in New Edition.
I'm not Bobby Brown in New Edition. I'm not Mike Goldberg kicking you to the dirt and hosting Get Up or whatever on ESPN in the morning.
Greenberg.
Greenberg. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm not Bobby Bonilla abandoning the Pirates. It's just you're more than welcome to join me on one of these. That's fine. Sam D'Angelo appeared in my nacho video, chomping on some popcorn, and Mr.
What would you
D is
call that
always.
show?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about what I'd include Mr. D'Angelo in on there. I don't know. I can't even say two Italians because when I did my genealogy test, I was so shocked by how low my Italian rate is. You remember, my homeland's being currently invaded. Tucker Carlson's fine with it, but I'm not.
Nor should you be.
But yeah, so don't again. The purpose of this is not to get views, but you can't views. I'm Mike the Librarian on TikTok if you want. If you want to go check it out.
Not surprisingly, it's about food.
It's about food, yes. So I'm sure your buddies will enjoy that. Yes, it's concession stand reviews. Hadi Ansari, Mr. Hadi, one of our previous guests, commented right away and asked about it. So he's very, he's out there. He's an influencer. I'm not an influencer. I just like concession stands. So
okay.
Next up, Carlson High School. I don't know if I'm going to do the school lunch. I don't want to get like the lunch ladies mad.
No.
Because let's face it, there's not going to be a lot of 7.5, 8s or 9s rolling out around. Unless we get the chicken bowl or the Thanksgiving feast.
They did a good spinach salad today. It was pretty good.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe I got to hit Scopes popcorn up in this Marauder Galley too. All right, well, that's it for this week. And again, dedication. We're both exhausted. It's about 9:45 after a track meet in the middle of a long week. We got a new episode out for you. NFL draft tomorrow. Let's leave it with that. NFL draft. Where do you see the Lions going? I don't even need a player's name, but what position do you think? Do you think they move it all? Are they going to stay at that pick? What do you got?
I think they're staying at 6. They get a D lineman.
And if the gentleman from Georgia is available, do they draft him?
Yeah. Well, if
Yeah.
Will Anderson is not available, I think those are 1 and 2, and I think they take Will Anderson first.
Okay. But if he's there, they take him. I agree. I think so too. I think the Steelers, man, the mocks have them all over. But you know, it's hard when you're like 16 or 17 because
right.
So I mean, so much could happen there. Thankfully for the Steelers, I think that they have the mix of needing both a corner, a wide receiver, and an offensive lineman, and I think that they'll take the best position player of those 3 spots. I know that's a lame cop out, but I really don't think they care. Like if it has to be like, so for example, like Joey Porter Jr., you know, they're not going to be heartbroken if he's gone. And then the next best guy up is a wideout. They'll take the wideout, you know, or they'll take the offensive lineman. I think that's where they are as a team. I don't think they're sitting there. You know, they thankfully got their quarterback last year. In all reality, you know, is Kenny Pickett the best guy in the world? No, but I think they're going to be okay with him.
Well, I was watching a mock yesterday and on ESPN. They actually had Will Levis falling all the way to 19 to the Bucks. And I just wondered, for your sake, like, would that be somebody? I mean, you got to stick with Pickett at this point, right? But
Yeah. I mean,
and
and they still, and I believe, I mean, I guess I'm the worst. They still have Trubisky, right? Like he hasn't, like, I guess, but that just shows you, like, this guy is delusional. There's no demand for him.
yeah,
You know, no, you know, like he is who he is. He's a backup at best.
yes,
Like, yes, that's just, I mean, looking back now, what Chicago did that year is baffling.
It's the Bears being the Bears,
Especially in a year where Mahomes was there. But oh well. Well, enjoy the draft. A year from today, we're recording on this April 26th, 24. We'll be heading downtown, right? We're going to the draft.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna.
Well, maybe we get media credentials. Pass the mic and be at the draft.
I wonder if Jeff Simon still has his connections with the Lions. He can get us
yeah, we'll be on press row.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then I'll go to the concession stand and do some TikToks. All right, everybody, have a great week.
TikTok's banned by then what?
Well, whoever, I don't know. That's true. I forgot about that. The Washington D.C. taking care of the important business going on.
Yeah,
China spying on my concession stand reviews. Meanwhile, the national debt rolls up, and you know, there's hungry people everywhere. But get to work out there.
Yeah.
Average age of the U.S. Senate's 78, probably.
I doubt it's 78, but your point is well taken.
It's pushing it. All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you next week.
See you later.